From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. A little more than 24 hours ago, in moments that I will never forget and forever cherish, I came out after 8 days in custody in 2 different jails. I was in 2 jails, first in the Alibag district jail, and then from there I was transferred to the Taloja Central Jail. And today I want to tell you, my dear viewers, that these days in jail have been the most meaningful days of my entire life. And let me tell you why these days have been the most meaningful days of my life. They have been because the struggle in these past days was real. But I've also realized that the opportunity to struggle for the truth is singularly the greatest honor that I have ever received. And that is what has made these days in jail so meaningful. Viewers, while I was in jail, there was a small television set, some 20 meters from my cell, which I shared with about 700 other inmates. So there was one small screen in one corner of Circle 1 of Taloja Central Jail, where there was a small screen which I couldn't see very well. But whenever Republic Bharat or Republic TV or other news channels were playing on that screen, I heard your voices from different parts of the country, from different states of the country, from different continents across the globe. And I would strain to hear, and I would squint to see, and I would draw energy from hearing your words in my support, and I was choked because I was sitting there in a prison cell with this TV far away from me. But I could listen to the people who were demanding my release. My friends, my brothers and sisters who were on the streets, and people with their protests for justice, and people standing outside the gates of the Taloja Central Jail, and some people signing petitions for me, and people submitting memorandums, and priests conducting prayers at places of worship in far-off places. And I was hearing that some people had come to the jail with cooked food for me. As my other fellow inmates at the Taloja jail told me, holding on to the iron bars of their respective cells, that based on what was being shown on that one tiny TV, shared by 700 inmates of Circle 1 of Taloja Central Jail, that I want to tell you tonight, my dear viewers, that in my entire life, I have never felt stronger. Never before. That these motivated people whose only job now has been to put fake cases upon me because they don't like my journalism, or they don't accept my ideology. They thought they would crush me. by moving me from jail to jail, by parading me in courtrooms without my shoes on, by assaulting me inside my own house, by surrounding my flat with 100 armed men. But instead, I came out of Taloja jail yesterday feeling more confident, feeling surer than ever before of what I am doing, more strong than I have been in my entire life, and more resilient than fire itself, and more determined to do exactly what they wanted to stop me from doing by putting me in jail, by denying me through illegal means my personal liberty. And I cannot even say how deeply indebted I am to the Supreme Court of the country, which has stood as the custodian of not just my rights, but the rights of the people of this country in these difficult moments. The Maharashtra government and the powers that be have tried to run and turn the law and order machinery there into an instrument of betrayal to the constitution of the country, ordering an illegal arrest, and then after 8 days they were proven wrong before the highest courts of the country and also in the courts of public opinion. And it is for them to introspect tonight because they have lost. I say again, it is for them to introspect tonight because they have been defeated by the truth. And to the unsilenced voice of the people, I ask them tonight, in your desperation to fight me, how many times are you going to lose before the people of India? And what exactly do you gain by losing to defend lies? If you are so interested in losing, then I say to you, lose while valiantly fighting for a just and honorable cause. But you are losing to protect the killers of the sadhus in Palghar. You are losing to cover up the Sushant Singh Rajput case. You are losing that when the biggest Bollywood names are now once again coming out in the Bollywood drugs racket, and you are losing to give those people a clean chit. You are losing. You are losing by arresting anyone who speaks against you. And then in complete defiance of any individual liberties, you put black cloths around their head. You treat social media activists and senior members of the Republic Media Network like terrorists. How dare you? How dare you? How could you? You've crossed all known limits of decency in public behavior and constitutional morality. Instead, you spend crores and crores and crores of taxpayer money to fight me. I would like to ask the Maharashtra government tonight, and someone should file this under the right to information. Please ask Mr. Uddhav Thackeray how much taxpayer money has been spent in fighting Arnab Goswami. How much taxpayer money has been spent in trying to harass through malice and vendetta and a combination of these instruments, the Republic Media Network. But those in power destroying the due process of law brazenly and uninhibitedly, to them the questions are simple. There are crores and crores of people in this country now speaking up. Will you arrest all of them? Will you file fake cases against all of them? Will you fix, frame, summon and assault all of them? Will you put black cloths around all their heads? Will you punish all of them? and Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. What are you doing? If the state machinery had spent 1% of the money, time and effort that you have in your individual obsession about republic in serving the people of the state instead, then your legacy would not mirror that of the emergency. But my life is an open book. And these motivated forces cannot and will never be able to touch the Republic Media Network. For the Republic Media Network is today the voice of the people of this country. And their cheap tricks, sending people at 6 o'clock in the morning to my house with guns and pistols and assault rifles, surrounding my house with 100 armed men in 4 concentric rings. Who am I? Who am I? Uddhav Thackeray. Hafiz Saeed? Who am I? Uddhav Thackeray. Assaulting me, assaulting my family, moving me from jail to jail to jail. Again, after 3 days, you denied police custody, then 3 days in judicial custody in a jail, shifting me 5 o'clock in the morning, not letting me speak to my lawyers when I asked for that one necessity, and then all these foolish things that you're doing, Mr. Thackeray, are having the reverse impact now. They are making my resolve stronger and your conspiracy obvious. And so tonight do these politicians and their stooges and their stooges in positions of power who think it is their right to abuse the state machinery and target citizens. I have just one message. This is 2020. We are stronger than ever before. This is 2020. We are fiercer than ever before. And this is 2020. Remember, the game has just begun. You cannot stop Republic, Uddhav Thackeray. Republic won't stop Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. Republic is unstoppable, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. Take it in writing from me. We don't need your certificates, but it is you who need to show some slightest of respect to the law and order machinery that you were sworn to protect, and which you have only conveniently been shredding to bits since you came to office. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 big debates tonight. It's great to be back in the studio among all of you. I can't wait to start my debates this evening. And on debate number 2 tonight, issues regarding institutional integrity upheld by the rule of law. And we are deeply indebted to the Supreme Court for standing by our just cause. All this and more is coming up, and here are the headlines. This Thursday evening on the debate tonight. And back in my studios after 8 days of incarceration, the Republic Media Network has a message for the Maharashtra government tonight. And no power in the world can crush the Republic Media Network. Our resolve is stronger than ever before. And the principles of Constitution are above individual ideology. The Supreme Court shows the way on the rule of law. And I am personally and deeply grateful to the highest court of India for upholding our personal liberties. And no compromise on our journalism. No compromise on national interest. Here at Republic, it is nation first. No compromise. And my dear viewers, your support has kept my entire team going. I thank you on all our behalf for your endless and unwavering faith in the Republic Media Network. And ladies and gentlemen, The last 8 days in jail have been a turning point in my life. It has given me time to introspect. And they thought and they planned this out. They thought they would defeat me and weigh me down. But I have come out with a stronger resolve and a fiercer intent to put our journalism first, news first, and the journalism that puts nation first. So tonight we have a clear message for those who have a single-minded intention to crush the Republic Media Network. You have once again been defeated.
At 8:26 p.m., Republic Editor-in-Chief Arnab Goswami drove out of the Taloja jail. The rousing reception he received is proof of the tsunami of support for Republic Media Network that stood its ground in the face of witch hunt that was unleashed by the state machinery.
All the people of India for all this love, endless support, इतना प्यार, इतना समर्थन. मुझे क्या आपको लगा कि जेल के अंदर मुझे पता नहीं चला? अरे जेल के अंदर समर्थन, जेल के बाहर समर्थन, रास्तों में समर्थन, लोगों के बीच में समर्थन, लोगों के दिल में समर्थन, देश में समर्थन, हर राज्य में समर्थन. ये समर्थन प्राप्त होता है, ये समर्थन लोग जीतते हैं, ये समर्थन.
For 8 days, he was away from his newsroom and studio. And while he was being incarcerated in the jail with hardened criminals, the persecution of Team Republic continued. Republic Assistant Vice President Distribution Ghanshyam was arrested in an early morning swoop down and treated like a terrorist with a black cloth on his face. Executive Editor Niranjan faced interrogation for another 4 hours. CEO Vikas underwent questioning for 4 more hours.
The game has just Jai Maharashtra!
But Team Republic has emerged stronger.
हम कभी समझौता नहीं करेंगे. Nation first, no compromise. क्या वो Republic Network तोड़ पाएंगे? I know that I am out here among you today because of the incredible effort of my team. So first I want to thank you for keeping the fight going over the last 8 days. And I could sense it, even in Alibag jail and in my cell in the Taloja jail. So you kept it going for me. You fought for me. I'm extremely grateful for that.
So tonight, as Arnab returns to his studio, here is his message to the powers that be.
Their problem is with our kind of journalism. And I want to tell them, we, all of us, we don't owe an explanation to these politicians to define what our journalism will be. हम कभी समझौता नहीं करेंगे.
Let's debate.
Delighted to be joined tonight by Dr. Sambit Patra, Smita Prakash, Nupur Sharma, M.R. Venkatesh, my father figure, General G.D. Bakshi, Advaita Kala, Shefali Vaidya, Barnali Basak, Ratan Sharda, and of course Pradeep Bhandari in the studio. It's great to be on familiar ground. May I begin by saying that I spent so many days that I was afraid if I would be kept in jail any longer, then the next episode of the debate, M.R. Venkatesh, would be from Circle 1 of Taloja Central Jail. And I was missing the debate so much that I had resolved to hold some kind of a debate with the 700 inmates with whom I was sharing the last 8 nights. Hey, I had major withdrawal symptoms. I must confess, MR. Major withdrawal symptoms last 8 days.
I too had, Arnab. 9 p.m. was never the same.
You too had,
I should confess. Yes, all of us had, all of us had.
Yeah, it was incredible. So I asked Uddhav Thackeray, what are you losing for? I'm still trying to gather an answer to this question. This gentleman has a persistent, consistent, and unstoppable desire to lose. But then my question is, what, Nupur, is he losing for? What is he gaining? What is he losing for repeatedly each time? Is he losing to protect the lynchers of the sadhus in Palghar? Is he losing to protest the lapses in the FIR in the Palghar case? What is he losing for, Nupur? What was his intent behind all this?
You know, Arnab, I'll take 1 minute. Firstly, welcome back. It's so good to see you. And when I was fighting the West Bengal government, I remember I had called you at, I think, 10:15 in the night when you were online, I mean, you were on air. And you had cut my call and you had messaged me to ask me, is everything okay? Because, you know, otherwise I wouldn't have called you when you were on air. And I said, no, everything is not okay, but please call whenever you can. And when I had told you everything that night, you told me, you know, Nupur, fight. If you don't fight, they will never stop coming after you. And I did fight. And when you went into jail, Arnab, I think the intention here was to silence you and break you. But along with you, break and silence a lot of us as well. Because a lot of us would think that if Arnab can break and if Arnab can be silenced, we are nothing and we can be silenced too. The moment you came out of jail, if you looked broken, if you looked defeated, they would have won. You didn't defeat them by coming out of jail, Arnab. You defeated them by saying that you will not be defeated after everything you have been through. So they lost. They lost not because you came out of jail. They lost because you said you will not be defeated. And they lost because they could not make an example out of you. They could not silence you. And through you, they could not silence the thousands of voices who will today take inspiration and think to themselves and tell themselves that if Arnab can spend 8-9 days in jail, if Arnab and his team can be hounded for a month, and still he can come back and say that I will not stop, I will not be defeated, and you politicians will not define what my journalism is, then so, you know, we can as well. If Arnab can do it, we can too.
Nupur.
If Arnab cannot be silenced, we will not be
Nupur.
silenced as well. Yeah.
Nupur, a question has been in my mind, and in the last 8 days, I've had a lot of time to introspect, Smita, that when people start saying ukhad diya, they reflect upon a certain mentality. Ukhad diya. What they did at my house, Smita, on the 4th, was a live representation of this ukhad diya attitude. The way they entered my flat, Smita, was the ukhad diya approach. You have 20 armed men who suddenly rush in, fully armed, AK-47s, 10 guns, pistols. And I asked for a few minutes to speak to Shamo and speak to my son. And to speak to my in-laws. It would have taken a few minutes. The intention was to not take me to Alibag Central Jail. The intention was to surround me in a certain manner. When you have, and I'll describe it today, Smita, one man holds your belt. The other man holds your belt from the back. Someone lifts you. Someone pushes you. And you ask to wear your shoes. And 15 people pull and push you and lift you off the ground and push you out. And then you say, I just want a few minutes, and then they abuse you. And they shift you from one van to the other. They assault you, and you are compelled to go to the court and show your bruises. And then they say, my lord, these are self-inflicted wounds. According to them, I was beating myself up in the presence of 100 armed policemen. I was beating myself up on the way to the police station. My concern is not about what they are doing, Smita. I'm sorry I'm going into a little bit of elaboration, but what and how they are doing.
No, it's fine.
They took Assistant Vice President of the Republic Media Network, who appeared before them for interrogation for more than 60 hours willingly in the fake TRP case, where Hansa Research has gone in with a writ petition before the Bombay High Court saying that the police is putting pressure on us to name the Republic Media Network. Hansa Research has put a writ petition before the Honorable Justice Shinde, I think, of the Mumbai High Court, that we are being told, we are being put pressure to implicate the Republic Media Network. The Mumbai High Court and others, the matter is before them. And now what do? Look at those pictures, Smita. The senior member of my corporate team had a black mask around his head. He was surrounded with a black mask around his head and taken away. I want to ask, why, Smita? Where is the outrage? Do you treat a terrorist like this? Today, if a senior member of any of our media teams was to have a black cloth taken out of around his head and dragged out of your office, Smita, how would you feel? I look at these pictures and I just want to ask, what is happening in our country? What is their intent? Smita, what is their intent?
I feel as distressed. I would feel as distressed as I feel for a member of the Republic team being pulled aside. Arnab, while I'm thrilled that you are out safe and sound, and your family is safe, and I am very glad to share, and I feel honored to share screen space with you today on your first broadcast. But it's also extremely distressing to see what happens and what is happening with your team, with what continues to happen, the hounding of your team. It's really awful, very distressing. And when you explain what happened that day with you, it's something that we saw because Shama was taping all that and it was going live. And it was so distressing because you're not just a colleague, you're a friend, and so is your family. And to see that happening is to see like my own family being violated. It was terrible to see what was happening, and all of us felt so incapable of helping you, and that was distressing. And mine was just a microcosm. I mean, you know it, your team would have told you, across the country, across the world, towns, villages, everybody calling. And Sambit is here. I berated Sambit on air on another channel. I regret doing it. But it was this frustration that somebody help out, somebody reach out to Arnab, somebody help him. You know, it was as if each one of us was feeling incapable of doing anything, and we were feeling incompetent. That as journalists we could do nothing, just wait for the courts to do something. Yes, finally you did come out, and I understand that the judiciary helped out, and you had a wonderful legal team in Mr. Salve and the others who helped you out. But it just 8 days. Why? And still, even now, there are debates being held in channels as to why just you? Why did you come out? Why were you given this benefit? Why not others? I mean, there are still the jealousy against you is so tremendous. And I have a couple of questions because so many people asked me, what did you feel like in that jail? I mean, it was natural to feel fear. Did you feel scared, Arnab, for your life? And what were people telling you there? Why were you being channeled? Did any politician come out there and threaten you? Did anybody come and tell you that when you get out you dare not do what you were doing earlier? Everybody wants to know that what is it that happened to you in those 8 days, and will they try and take you back if you continue to do the kind of journalism that you're doing?
And did you come to know of the sea of support for you throughout the world?
I caught some snatches of it. But I want to say something before anything else, I truly, from the bottom of my heart today, want to thank Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice Indira Banerjee, because what you have done for me as a citizen of this great nation, my lords and my lady, cannot be put into words by me. But what you have stood for in the history books of this great nation, my lords and my lady, and judicial tradition cannot be weighed in pounds or kilograms of stone, because when I just felt I had this endless faith in the courts eventually, because when human dignity was being flogged, you restored them with your highest conscience. When fundamental rights were being tossed, you rose in your wisdom to protect them. And when the rule of law was turned into a mockery by one state, you brought reason and direction to restore it. And when all the enshrined values of this great democracy were being shred and are being shred to bits by a state machinery that is guided by malice, vengefulness and vindictiveness, my lords, you intervened to ensure that the constitutional freedoms and rule of law have prevailed. I humbly bow down to you. I bow down to you. You ask me how I felt. Well, I can tell you one thing, and you may find this strange. I did not feel alone. I did not feel alone. I got snatches from a television set, and even among the inmates of the Taloja Central Jail, many were people who had watched me on television over the years. So I became quite a gregarious member of their team. I think they will be missing me tonight. I hope I'm not called back. They'll be very happy if I join them again. But your support does matter. We need to have a discussion on what's been going on. Sambit, we need to have a discussion on what's been going on. This was a fake case. My problem is this with the Maharashtra government. Without investigation, you persecute. The TRP case, the Mumbai Police Commissioner did a press conference blaming me and then is trying to reverse engineer a case. He does not listen to the Supreme Court. Now, secondly, even in this particular case, any particular case, without the investigation, you reopen a case which has been closed and you begin with an arrest. You don't even issue a summons. MR, is that process valid legally?
Definitely not, Arnab. No, Arnab. It is not valid, I can tell you. What I see, Arnab, and I can tell you with some amount of responsibility, the Maharashtra government will meet its Waterloo in your hands. That is what is going to happen. And secondly, Arnab, I thought, and let me tell you, it was a fight between Republic Channel and Maharashtra government. What it eventually turned out was a fight between Maharashtra government and the public. The overwhelming support, Arnab, I'll just give you one instance. One old lady called me and said, sir, is there a provision in law where I can substitute for Arnab in the prison? Let Arnab come and fight, otherwise there will be nobody to fight this Tukde gang, the JNU Walas, the so-called leftists, the liberals. Can you find out some provision in CRPC and say that I will depute for Arnab inside the Saroja prison? You know, that completely humbled me, Arnab. Can you ever believe you are not a relative of that person? You are nobody to that person. But yet, that person calls me and says this. I would have seen this type of adulation for politicians, for probably Jayalalitha at her peak or Karnanati at her peak from state of Tamil Nadu. But for you, Arnab, and this lady from my state calls and says, I will incarcerate myself for a Assamese editor. And look at what General Bakshi did. He spearheaded the whole campaign, and rightfully so, sir. Our salutes to you, our pranams to you. I will do a sastang namaskar to you because for what you stood for with Arnab, and we are all humbled because you carried the gravitas. You helped Arnab to come out. You put the hydraulic pressure on the courts, and that is how courts started looking at this case as some sort of this is going to be a landmark decision. Arnab, I told you quite a few weeks back what Keshavananda Bharati was in the 70s and the 80s. Arnab was the state of Maharashtra will be for the next generation. And this will be the single largest judgment on Part 3 of the Constitution. So, Arnab, I wish you a happy Diwali.
I must also,
glad my family members are glad.
I must also place on record. Tonight, it will be unfair if I don't place on record my deepest personal and professional gratitude for the legal colossus, you know, one of India's foremost jurists, Mr. Harish Salve, who has fought with all his heart and his knowledge for me. I am deeply grateful. I think all of us, we owe deep gratitude to Mr. Harish Salve. And I want to say one more thing. I don't know how many of you know this. Mr. Harish Salve, you know, does not even charge us 1 rupee or any of his most valuable, appearances in the court. He appears pro bono for us, and that is my something which I cannot even express my gratitude and thanks for. And if you see the nature of the arguments being presented here, people say you're escalating the case to a broader issue. Well, it is a broader issue. Let me explain the broader issue, Sambit Patra. The issue is not a TRP case. The issue is not a Palghar case. The issue is not a fake case. The issue is not one fake arrest here. The issue is not even Arnab being arrested. The issue is the omnibus exercise of malice by the state machine. This is, you see, if today I decide, if the state decides, to go after Sambit Patra, and it says, I will find something against him, then they can ring fence him with 1 million cases. In our case, this has happened. 100 FIRs on Palghar. You released our attackers on bail. We pursued the Palghar case. You then file an FIR for a Bandra incident. Then you try to stop our coverage on SSR.
Sameer Thakur, right? That's
Then you
exactly
arrest my crew on 10th September. You arrest my reporter. If you look at it, it's a very serious matter. When you talk of the importance of the Keshavananda Bharati judgment, and now I'll stop here because you are dealing with a very unusual situation. Very unusual, where the state is exhibiting its incredible appetite for publicly visible malice. This has never happened in this form. Sambit, I think I'd like you and Ratan Sharda to take this forward. It's a very unique situation now.
Arnab, with your permission and the permission of the August panel that we have tonight, I'll take some time. And I can see people extremely emotional on your panel tonight. And I can sense that crores of people watching your channel tonight are either choking up or their eyes are swelling. I can literally see Nupur crying. I can see Shefali. I can even see my fatherly figure, G.D. Bakshi, is not his normal self. I can see tear in his eyes as well. I mean, this is what you have achieved, let me tell you, Mr. Goswami, from TV's hero to people's hero. This is what you have achieved in this short span of time. And allow me a few words. Arnab, you are a reputed man, you are a resourceful man, but remember, this fight is not between just one Arnab Goswami and a Maharashtra government. This fight, since years and ages, is between those who stand with the civilization called India and those who want to disseminate, those who want to finish off this civilization called India. I and you both belong to east of India, where Durga is the Adhishthatri Devi. Mahalaya is the time when we get up in the morning, 4:30 Brahma Muhurta, and we try to derive energy out of eternal mother. This speech of mine today is to all those Samit Thakars, to all those Arnab Goswamis, Sadhvi Pragya, who try to stand for India and who are trampled or tried to be trampled. 2 lines from Bhagavati Sutra, 2 lines from Durga Saptasati for the energy to all those people who are listening to us today. Twang Shri, Twang Ishwari, Twang Hri, Twang Buddhi Bodha Lakshanan, Lajja Prushti Tatha Trushti Shanti Shanti Revata, Khadagini, Shulini, Ghora, Gadini, Chakrani Tatha, Shankhini, Chapini, Ban, Bhushundi Paridayudha. Durga, you stand with all your Dasha Ayudha to protect the ones who are unprotected. When everything is lost, you have to come and protect this great nation. You have to rise as a phoenix to protect this nation from destruction. From Shivaji till today, there would be people whenever India comes down to protect the basic values. And let me tell you,
have taken the debate in a different direction, Sambit. It's interesting, but in a way, it is correct, because today the state government has not apologized for the misuse of power and the law and order machinery that they hold. Are they silent, Ratan Sharda, because they have no answer for the people? Are they silent because they are seething that we have not been defeated? Or are they silent because they did not realize that the people of India are nationalistic too and stand for the same issues that we are raising? Ratan Sharda.
They know, the people who try to persecute know that their days are numbered. They know that people have stood up against their tyranny. They know that their so-called Marathi Manus and their effort to divide the people on linguistics has totally failed. And this is the reason they are quiet. They are also quiet because of the slap that Supreme Court has given them. I only hope that it gives them some wisdom to draw back, go back to their own governance and not waste their time on a journalist. After all, I never thought that one day the name Republic TV will come to mean standing up for the Constitution of India, standing up for the Republic of India. That is the name has come to symbolize. Your strength is selfless love of the people, the selfless love of a team which stood up with you all the time, and selfless friends who have been with you all this thick and thin and standing for you. And ironically, the man before you who actually had this kind of adulation and this kind of fan following and this kind of total dedication was Balasaheb Thackeray. That is the irony, that the man who before you ruled the people's heart was a journalist called Balasaheb Thackeray, and their success has reduced this government to what it is. As we know, I won't even need to define it. That is the tragedy today. And what court has done is not just a case of giving you a bail. It has opened the gate for so many people who are rotting in the jails for very wrong reasons, for no reasons at all, just because police can pick up anybody it wishes. That is a lesson that today actually what people had forgotten, that anybody can be picked up for no reason at all without giving any reason. A reason can be created. So we must remain fearful of the state. The idea of democratic society where the police was friend of yours has been lost. Last time even when I was in emergency, police was much more friendly.
Because what the police was doing is undermine the judicial process. That for me was the bigger worry in all of this, that you're undermining the judicial process. GD Bakshi, sir, please. First of all, thank you for all the pain you took on my behalf.
Everybody knew the cases are false. Not at all. As a friend, it's our duty
GD
as a people who stand for liberty,
sir,
who have suffered for this liberty, we must stand for you.
It is no longer...
GD Bakshi, sir, first of all, thank you for fighting for me. in my absence from television. Can you hear me, sir?
I hear
Yes,
you
sir.
loud and clear, Arnab.
To add, I know
hear
the
you
young
loud and
people
clear.
who
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go on, sir.
Can I say
I was
something,
thanking
Arnab?
you for your support. Go ahead, sir. Floor is yours.
Arnab. Thank you. Arnab, we are so happy to see you back in your studio with a red badge of courage. You have just faced your baptism with fire. When the first time I had AK-47s, machine guns, mortars, 81mm and 105mm guns, it was quite an experience. It was quite an experience. You just got the red badge of courage. This is what you get after the first battle that you fight. And you fought gloriously. Dad would be proud of you, my boy. Colonel Goswami would be damn proud of you, as are the rest of us. Because you have fought not for yourself. You have gained glory because you have fought for a cause. For your country. For my country. For our country. And our values. We are not Xi Jinping's China, where a chief minister, Arnab, becomes a chief minister for life. All right? We are not that God-benighted country called Pakistan, where journalists are picked up, tortured, and their dead bodies are flung on the roads for the dogs to eat. They were trying to reduce our country to that, Arnab. And where was the journalism of courage?
There was,
In
sir,
you. We have seen
There was,
the
sir.
journalism of courage reborn, Arnab. Reborn.
But in today's journalism,
They
General Bakshi,
are
we will
going
have to
to
fight them
see
back
a
with the
magnificent
support of the
country.
people for a just cause. The journalism has changed, sir. We will have to now make our journalism into a movement.
So
And we
help us
cannot
God.
have our journalism characterized or wireframed by the journalism of the past. I have to take a short break. I know Advaita, Barnali have not even spoken yet, and neither has Shefali. And I come back on the other side. I'll include them in my next debate on the broader issues that now emerge. Ladies and gentlemen, short break. I'm going to be back. And yes, it's good to be back with you tonight.